Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Super excited to be here with Veronica with the City of Tallahassee and also Daryl Jones with the Office of Economic Vitality. Our topic for today is MWSBE continuing service agreements and why you want the city, Leon County, and other districts to choose you for continuing services. So we're super excited to have everyone here today. Just a few housekeeping notes. Make sure you share your comments and posts with us. That way we can go ahead and get all of your questions answered during this live stream. So without further ado, I'm going to send things over to Mr. Daryl Jones.
Hello, thank you, Chrissy. Thank you for bringing us together yet again for our MWSBE webinar series. This time we are talking about continuing service agreements. So continuing service agreements are a tool by which both the city, the county, and Blueprint are able to meet their procurement needs from a variety of different skills, professions, and areas of expertise and supply and materials. What these continuing service agreements do is that they provide an opportunity for our government to have a cadre of pre-qualified business owners to meet their procurement needs. And that means that anytime those needs become available, or required rather, I should say, by any division of government, they can go to this list of pre-qualified firms to meet their needs in that particular category. I am delighted to have on this broadcast with me the City of Tallahassee's resident expert on all things procurement, my colleague and my friend, Ms. Veronica McCracken, who comes to our city government here within the last 18 months with a wealth of experiences, having provided those same level of services on behalf of the state of Florida. So the City of Tallahassee, is great to have her expertise, but more importantly, I can tell you here in the Office of Economic Vitality, we are grateful to have Ms. Veronica McCracken bring her expertise to bear, particularly as we heighten the number of opportunities and the availability and the utilization of minority and women-owned and local firms. So I'm delighted to introduce her again, everybody. It's Ms. Veronica McCracken joining us today on our MWSB Academy Continuing Services Agreements. Ms. McCracken.
Thank you, Daryl, for that fantastic introduction. I'm glad to be here and glad to talk about the continuing services agreements with the city. One of the hallmarks of a continuing service agreement, like Daryl mentioned, is that they're typically multiple awards and they're pre-qualified vendors. In other words, if that particular service is needed, you will typically be competing amongst those that have only been pre-qualified. So it's almost like a short list. It's typically a two-step process where you get qualified, and then if there is any work that needs to be done in a particular area, the city department will either issue a request for quote amongst those pre-qualified vendors and asking them to provide that service. So it creates a much smaller finite loop, and typically continuing services agreements or plans have a finite spending limit. Generally, if the project is going to be, or the demand is going to be greater than $100,000, we will then open it up to everybody, to the general population. But generally, if it's below that cap or that figure, it will just be bid out amongst those vendors that have been pre-qualified. So up before you now is generally a list of some of the upcoming continuing services agreements, or what I call citywide projects that will be coming up. So we have asbestos, lead, and mold hazardous materials abatement. We expect that we will probably be issuing a solicitation for that in the next 2 months. Another is our technology training. In other words, courses related to Excel, project management, Word, helping our employees and staff better utilize some of the IT tools or Microsoft systems that they use. We're expecting that will probably be issued in 2022. So if you offer training as it relates to how to better use, Microsoft 365 or things of that nature on a novice, intermediate, or advanced level, be on the lookout for that particular solicitation. Same thing with consultants and employee training. Our HR department has a variety of training to help professionally develop employees. Anything from diversity to leadership to, crucial conversations, all of those things that are needed to develop our employees. Likewise, that will be something else that will be coming out in 2022. Architectural and engineering services. So in the next 2 months, we expect to issue a CSA related to architecture and engineering services for the city. So it can cross a variety of engineering scopes, civil engineering, underground, geotechnical survey, you name it. A similar solicitation was done recently for Blueprint. So we will be doing something similar for the city of Tallahassee. With janitorial services, COVID really, amplified the need for making sure our workplaces are sanitized. So we have realized that we needed to beef up those services in terms of making sure our office space is clean and sanitized and a safe environment to work in. So we will probably be issuing a solicitation for multiple vendors to be available to this city in the event that we have something similar to a COVID or any type of specialized need. As we were all transitioning from the workplace and coming back, or in the early days of COVID, there was a lot of concern with having to sanitize workspaces. So that is something likewise that the city is entertaining. Another is temporary services, very much in terms of administrative, unskilled labor. We are looking at reissuing, looking for vendors who can provide temporary personnel. And that is expected to come out in the next 2 months. In terms of sidewalk engineering, haven't quite determined when that one is going to come out yet. But like I said, in all of these instances, it's an opportunity for vendors to get pre-qualified and then compete for those services amongst those vendors that have been pre-qualified. So that's kind of the end of my spiel in terms of what the city has to offer. Generally, the contract terms for these usually last anywhere from what I call a 5-year term. In other words, a 3-year initial term followed by 2 years of renewal. But it's a good start and a good beginning if you're trying to get your foot into the door to do business with the city of Tallahassee.
Can I also, am I unmuted? Can I talk now? You can hear me?
Yes.
That with thumbs up means you can hear me? Okay. Veronica, thank you so much for sharing. What I'd also like to also add, one of the things that excites me, particularly about the ones that are now currently available with the city, we have a great number of certified minority and women-owned firms that we now have qualified in a number of these areas of expertise, particularly employee training. We have a great number of consultants who are presently certified with us. We have not discussed it yet, but depending upon what we anticipate may be the value, we may reserve these for SBEs. All of that will be issues of consultation. But what I would hope that people who are witnessing this, that they will see that there's a benefit in certifying. One, if you're certified as a vendor with the City of Tallahassee, which Veronica can explain to you how you can do that through BidSync, and if you certify with our office, you'll be made aware of when these advertisements will go forward. That's going to be critical. What we're describing here is when we believe that these current contracts will sunset, the exact date and time when they'll be released will be at a time that is most convenient for those areas of responsibility from which these continuing service agreements will operate from. Architectural and engineering services is huge. That means that for the next 5 years, a great number of projects that may not rise to the occasion to be RFP, but yet the city needs architects and engineering services support for projects that will more than likely be $100,000 or less, right?
Yep.
Which means they won't have to go out to bid, and that'll just be a simple issue of them going to the list of available already pre-qualified firms to meet that need. So please, to all of our certified minority women-owned businesses, to those who are not certified, please take advantage of these opportunities, because as you can imagine, for a government the size of the City of Tallahassee, over the next 5 years, there will be a number of occasions where an architect or an engineer services may be needed on projects that do not rise to the occasion of an RFP, but the needs of the government will be met through this procurement device. For those who are qualified, who are doing consultations in a variety of areas of expertise, leadership, ethics, professional development, the Office of Workforce Diversity, Angela Hendrick's office are qualifying firms, and they will use the ones that they've already got pre-qualified. So that means that opportunity for you to qualify will be lost to you for the next 3 years once they've identified those firms. So that's why we're having this discussion, and we're going to have it semi-annually, because we don't want people to miss these opportunities as they become available. Janitorial services, a great number. This is a fantastic opportunity, and I really appreciate Veronica sharing this with you. Would you also talk about how they qualify, and how they're noticed the information for the availability?
Yeah, and let me piggyback off of what Daryl said, and that's a very good point, which is, this is the window, and once the award is made, generally it that's that finite window for about 3 to 5 years, unless that project exceeds $100,000. It'll generally be those folks that have been pre-qualified that the city will always go to. So extremely important that you certainly take advantage of the opportunity that's before you. Any solicitation that we issue is on our, we use a platform called BidSync. It is free to register. You can go out to www.talgov.com and click the link for business to government, and you will see the BidSync link to be able to register. Any solicitation will be issued on that platform. When you register, you need to identify, what category is it that you want. We use the NIGP codes, so anything from janitorial to construction to IT. You need to make sure you identify appropriately what categories your business is slated for, so that you can receive notice if there is something that relates to the services that you are offering, or materials that you may be offering. So that is the platform in which you can go to. to be aware of any upcoming solicitations with the City of Tallahassee.
And Veronica, if you wouldn't mind for our purposes, under comments, if you wouldn't mind putting in the link over there in comments so that people can have access to that information while we're on here together, and they can then either copy and paste or go to the link right now and discover how they can make certain that they're engaged.
That can work.
And we actually have the City of Tallahassee's website up here as well, too. So just so everyone knows, this is where you would go to be able to, as Veronica has mentioned, to apply for those services. So I'll go ahead and do that right now for everyone watching. This is certainly exciting to see all the opportunities that are becoming available to work with the City of Tallahassee. How does this make you feel, Veronica, after, a year of us being in a pandemic and some uncertainty? How does that make you feel on behalf of the City of Tallahassee?
I'm excited. I mean, it was certainly, how do I put it? We're still in the midst of this, but certainly some valuable lessons that have been learned. I think it has forced not only the city, but I think various industries to really pivot, not only from being in person, but to conducting business virtually. And so there have been, just across all spectrums of life, some tremendous change that has developed. And I think what has come out of this for the city is that, we'll probably continue doing things virtually. I expect that a lot of the training going forward will be a hybrid of in-person, virtual, online, you name it. That's probably what will come out of that market. Now, there are some things across the city that never stopped. A lot of our folks in UPI were coming to work every day. Your garbage was being picked up every day. So there are some things that definitely cannot be done virtually. So, you have to have somebody who's kind of always manning the fort to kind of keep things running.
And one of the things that I think is modest, Veronica and her modesty will not give credit for this. One of the things that has been so enormously impactful is that throughout this pandemic, the Procurement Office has been putting opportunities for our businesses on the street. Her office and their work with project managers across our government has not slowed at all. And so subsequently, when there was where there may have been some impacts in private industry, it was Veronica McCracken in the Procurement Office that was making certain that a great number of our businesses across a variety of trades and areas of expertise and service were still receiving opportunity to work, to keep their people employed, to even create jobs, even in the throes of a pandemic. And so kudos to Veronica and the hardworking people that she manages and the impact that we know that her hard work has had on leveling our economy. And I want to thank her also because one of the processes that has also been a part of that is when we prepare these continuing service contracts, agreements rather, when she meets with our office in advance, we then make determinations based upon the industry, the goals and opportunities, aspirational targets or goals that we can ascribe to those areas of expertise. So the ripple effect of her work and her leadership means that we're making certain that minority and women-owned businesses are also enjoying that same largesse that comes from our city's procurement activity. And then her willingness to also agree that certain specific projects are then also reserved for small businesses. Yes. Also means that local firms are also the beneficiaries of the procurement opportunities that she manages. So I just want to thank my colleague, and then particularly what I know is the economic impact of her work. So thank you so very much, and thank you for sharing with us today. You'll notice that she has her link in the private chat. We'll share that in comments so everybody can see that connection to the bid sync so that they can get on board and get registered.
Yep,
Absolutely.
and that's been shared in the comments, and we have a lot of people that are asking for that as well too. So we want to say thank you to Frida and Doris for watching right now and asking those questions. And yeah, Shirley, thank you so much for sharing this virtual webinar as well. But the great thing that's exciting about this is not only is the City of Tallahassee opening up different projects for minority and women-owned businesses and local businesses in general, but also so is Leon County.
Right. So I'm happy to talk about Leon County. Veronica, don't go anywhere because I'm only going to be a second, okay? So I just want to show you the ones that we have for the county. You'll notice we have janitorial for facilities. We also have supply ones with lime rock materials. We have painting services, hazardous waste disposal, roll-up doors, repair, replace arm gates, home replacement for those persons who are living in modular units, particularly outside of the city limits in Leon County. There's a grant program that they have. Home rehabilitation is the same. And so they're going to be pre-qualifying contractors to meet, you'll go back, to meet those needs in home replacement and home rehabilitation. Painting services, imagine the number of opportunities for painting across Leon County that will not rise to a bid project, but as we're continuing to maintain facilities, they'll count on those painters who are already pre-qualified. Our certified painters and GCs don't miss this opportunity. For our supply companies who are registered, I won't name any names, but you know who you are. Repair and replacement of doors and arm gates for our facilities is huge. Again, that type of maintenance occurs over the course of the life of this continuing service agreement over the next 3 and possibly 5 years. Please get your business pre-qualified. Next page. And then civil engineering services, sod installation, and temporary labor services. What I'm going to ask as we come to an end on this is that if Chrissy would go back, Ms. Souders would go back through, I'm suggesting for everybody who's on, screenshot these pages so that you'll have them inventoried and you can continue, once you're registered, to continue to look for these opportunities as they become available. They'll be announced. That information will be made available to those who are registered vendors with the city. I would also ask that you do the same thing on the county side. Register as a vendor with, what is it, Procure Now? Is that what they use, Veronica?
I think so.
I think it's Procure Now. Go to the Leon County government page, register on Procure Now, and then also register with our office so that you can be made aware when these opportunities become available. These continuing service opportunities, again, we pre-qualify. We'll revisit this again in about 6 months. Veronica and I and our colleague Kelly on the county side will come back and let you know what's going to be available in the next 6 months following the beginning of the new fiscal year. So keep that in mind. We want as many of our firms to qualify as possible. And do you have any more questions for us, Chrissy?
Yes, I have a question. Veronica, why is it important for the City of Tallahassee to choose local businesses to do these projects?
Well, that's a good question. You want to keep those dollars here in the city so that it can grow and thrive, that we are able to support families, children, you name it, and the development of the economic power that the city has, and keep it local. Don't get me wrong, sometimes there are some things that we have to go outside of the city for, but what better way to support the city than growing and nurturing those businesses that are here.
Yeah, and that's super important as well too, because especially right now, when so many businesses had to shutter or close their doors or had to do limited services because of the world we live in right now. It's important that we are all, looking out for each other and helping people in our communities. So we certainly appreciate that, Veronica. And what I want to mention is if you're watching right now, which we do have quite a few people watching right now, just say hello. And also, please feel free to ask your questions and leave your comments even after this live stream, because I know that Daryl Jones with the Office of Economic Vitality and Veronica with the City of Tallahassee will be available to answer your questions for you, which is really great. Being able to, access people in these agencies to get answers. Right, Daryl? And you're muted, Daryl. This time you muted yourself. Hey, Daryl, if you want to unmute yourself. It's okay.
Listen, I'm glad we don't have one of these in real life because I think people would shut me down all the time. But we're lucky to have our resident guru, Veronica McCracken, on here to talk most specifically with our audience to make them aware of how they can access this information. This is a keeper. I'm glad it's going to be archived on the the Office of Economic Vitality's YouTube page. Please check us out. There are other worthwhile discussions that we have had, but it is a great plethora of information to ensure capacity building for our local firms, particularly our minority women and our small businesses. So please, and if y'all wouldn't mind, we've got the information on there, how you can connect with Veronica McCracken. Let me give you her cell phone number out of my phone.
Well, that didn't get my attention.
I want to share some comments from the audience. We have Shirley Pittman joining us. Hey, Shirley. Thank you, everyone, for awareness to the community.
Well, thank you, Ms. Pittman. I'm glad.
Good.
Ryan Weaver says, hi, you all rock. I'm a big fan of regional growth.
And I'm glad Ryan brings that up. To qualify for one of the things that I think Veronica and I both neglected to mention, when we talk about reserving projects for small businesses, we have a regional approach for that qualification. And those are businesses that are found within what we describe as our metropolitan service area, and that is businesses that are based in either Gaston County, Jefferson County, or Wakulla County. One, qualify for my certification with the MWSBE, but they also qualify for SBE preferences, reserved projects as well. So please, any of our local businesses that are found in that 4-county area qualify for my certification, as well as although all vendors are able to register, those businesses that are local will be considered when we reserve projects for SBE. So thank you, Ryan Weaver. We too are fans of regional growth.
And Doris says, great information given by my FAMU classmate, Daryl Jones.
That's right.
And Mrs. McCracken.
Thank you, Dr. Richard.
Well, I think this has been a great webinar. And as I mentioned, make sure to continue asking your questions and sharing your comments. And you know what? Share this post with someone you feel could benefit from learning about these continuing service agreements.
Yes.
I want to go ahead and say thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.